Hello lovely YouTube watcher! Did you click on this video because you want to increase your English level? I bet you did. Would you like to improve? Well, it's only natural to want to improve in something, right? I, for one, am terrible with technology, and I really want to improve. Tips in the comments below, please. Welcome back to English with Catherine. I'm honestly so happy to see you again. Another week, another video. Before we start the video, do you know another way to take your English level from basic to advanced? English lessons, specifically with the British Council. Now, I know I've only recently spoken about them, but here I am talking about them again. That's how good they are. The British Council are a language school, a lovely, prestigious language school with a wonderful reputation. Did you know that they work closely with the UK government? They receive some funding to promote cultural relations and educational opportunities, so you can really trust them against other language schools. Their online tutoring service is called EnglishScore Tutors. The service is all about personalised learning, which is an approach that I fully support. Your first class is just $1. You pick your tutor, find out your level, and get your study plan, your personalised study plan. If you're thinking about improving your business English, EnglishScore Tutors can really help with that. Business English is essential for your professional development, and it's really important to keep up to date with it because it's always changing. The Business English tutors, it's really hard to say, are actually ex-industry professionals, some of them specialising in law, marketing, logistics, and politics, so you can really learn from them and be inspired. They can help with all things business, including emails, presentations, vocabulary, and even tone of voice. Very important. This has been really popular with students living in Japan, France, or Italy, or even here in the UK, or abroad in the US. I really recommend EnglishScore Tutors. They've really played a part in my professional career. Best of luck with it all, and let me know in the comments how it's going. Okay everyone, let's take your English from basic to advanced. Let's get started. Just got to straighten my collar. I'm ready. Number 1. Phrasal verb swaps. This might be a little bit familiar to you if you've watched my other video with the same title. Check it out if you haven't. Just to remind you that the verb to swap is to exchange something for something else. In this context, we are swapping our basic English, getting rid of that, and welcoming in the advanced. What do I mean by advanced? What does that even mean? Well, in my opinion, and the way I see it, advanced is the kind of English that's natural. The kind of English that the natives are using. You don't sound a little bit formal, you don't sound archaic. This is what we want, right? Let's rise to the challenge. So what you want to do is swap your original formal word in English for a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are very, very common. I use millions of them every week. They help me communicate, and I absolutely love them. As you probably know, a phrasal verb is a verb and a preposition that have kind of made friends and are a couple. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about, let me give you some examples. So let's take the lovely word extinguish. To extinguish. A very kind of formal word meaning to cease, which means to stop, burning or shining. So it's used with fire. I love candles. I light them all the time, in the evenings usually, or when I'm having a bath. When I want to extinguish the flame before I go to bed, I'm not going to say I extinguished the flame. No, I'm going to say blow out. So I blow out the candles before I go to bed. I could say extinguish, it wouldn't be wrong, it wouldn't be incorrect, but it's not very natural. Another example is if there's a bigger fire, not a candle, like a bonfire or a house on fire, we could say the fire needs to be extinguished, but we're more likely to say we need to put out the fire or the fire needs to be put out. Number 2, reduce has been replaced with cut down. Okay, so the lovely word reduce, which is not wrong, has kind of been replaced with the phrasal verb cut down. So guys, I love coffee. I love coffee so much, I can't describe how much. I have a moment every morning with just me and the cup of coffee, and we kind of bond. It's a great moment. But I have a little bit too much coffee in my life. I'm getting through about 3 cups a day. So I really need to cut down on, don't forget on, so I need to cut down on caffeine. And that just means reduce it slightly, not cut it out. Cut it out means to remove it, so the original word for that one would be remove. Both reduce and remove are perfectly fine, by the way, but these phrasal verbs, cut down and cut out, have just come in and kind of replaced them. Is there anything that you need to cut down on or even cut out? Let me know in the comments. I do go by the mantra, though, that have a little of what you fancy, and that can be a really balanced lifestyle. Just be careful not to have too much of it. Number 3, apply. Apply. Now, sometimes apply is still very much used, like when you apply for a job or apply for a visa. That's still very much in use because it's a very formal context. However, daily English like makeup application and perfume and jewellery, we're not going to say apply. And I'm sure you don't use that, but again, it's just to show you how the phrasal verbs are coming into the language and what's actually been happening. So I could say I'm going to apply my makeup for YouTube video filming. I could say that, but I'm not going to. I'm really not going to. I'm much more likely to say I need to put on some makeup for YouTube, or I'm going to put on some perfume, especially if I'm going out in the evening, and also put on my jewellery. So what have we learnt from this section of the video? Swap out some of your formal words that are absolutely beautiful, but not necessarily natural to use now in daily English. So swap them out to sound more advanced. Just realised I used a phrasal verb just then, to swap out. God, they are everywhere. Well done if you're still watching. You have reached part 2 of the video. Swapping basic English for advanced. I'll show you what I mean. The basic way. Oh, I really need to wash all the plates and all the cups and all the bowls and all the glasses from lunchtime. Oh, the advanced way. I really need to do the washing up. I really need to do the washing up. Here we have the advanced and native way of saying that. No one likes doing the washing up. Oh, it is the bane of my life. You can use this as a verb or you can use it as a noun. So as a verb, you would say, I need to wash up. And that is, you guessed it, a phrasal verb. Number 2, the basic way. I really need to learn the notes for my presentation by saying them over and over again so that they get stored in my brain and I don't need a piece of paper to read off when I'm giving my presentation at work. Whew, what a mouthful! The advanced way. I really need to learn my notes off by heart. I really need to learn my notes off by heart. This is a lovely expression and it just means to learn them from memory. So here we have replaced a long, lengthy load of words with a nice expression that just helps to express the same thing with less words. The basic way. My child is throwing a lot of tantrums and I'm hoping that it's just a period of time that will pass and will be temporary, that won't go on for months or years even. Here's the advanced way. My child keeps throwing tantrums, but I'm hoping it's just a phase. So when you say something is just a phase, usually related to children, it means it's just a temporary time. Don't worry, it won't go on forever. So you can see that this one is a lot more advanced because so many less words. Just to say, this might be really overwhelming you, but it's all about vocabulary, really. All of this is kind of related to vocabulary. So my advice to you would be to read as many books in the genres that you like. Also listen to podcasts and audiobooks. They're really good for listening practice. Every time you come across a new word, just write it down. I know that sounds like a lengthy task, but it can be fun. Part 3. Well done if you're still watching. Native habits. You don't have to do these, they're just for research purposes for you, and also you can do them if you want. I'm always interested in the native habits of the people when I'm learning a language. I just think it's more interesting to learn about the culture at the same time as learning a language. It just keeps the whole thing much more engaging and stimulating. So this is what we do. Number 1, we generally don't ask the question why. Obviously sometimes you do need to ask why, but generally we don't ask why because it can be seen as nosy, which is when you put your nose into other people's business, and also quite intrusive, which is a lovely word, which kind of means nosy. Intrusive. For example, if someone's not married, you don't really ask why. Why are you not married? Why do you need to know that? That is a really personal question. You know, you're just being nosy. Asking why for personal things is not considered British etiquette. Number 2, we often say thank you and please. in the same sentence. For example, when I'm ordering a taxi, because where we live it's quite rural and we can't really use an app for taxis, we have to call them directly and describe exactly where we are. We've had 2 taxis that have gone to completely different locations to pick us up. Anyway, hi there, please could I book a taxi for tomorrow morning? Thank you so much. That is please and thank you in the same sentence. Wow, that is so British. Number 3 is about interrupting. Okay, so I have done a video about interrupting and the way to do it, especially in business meetings. I think there's a real art to it. But generally, we don't interrupt, and I'm sure it's the same in your culture. But in some cultures, I've noticed with my students, it's very normal for them to interrupt and they don't necessarily say anything when it happens. And at first I'm like, oh, that's really strange. But I've got used to it because it's their culture and that's what they consider polite. So, you know, it's just different. But in British culture, if you talk over someone, we often say, sorry, you first. No, really, you go first. And that's just something we do. So we're always trying to be considerate to the other person. I guess that's how you'd summarise that. So has that video motivated you? Has it inspired you to increase your English level? Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. It's nearly spring, isn't it? And all the flowers are coming out and the weather is warming up. Yay! I hope you're looking forward to my spring content. I can't wait to film it. I've got some good ideas for you. I'm wishing you all the luck in your English learning journey, as usual. I really appreciate your support of my channel, and in return, I really want to support you back. You can follow me on Instagram by just typing in English with Katharine, because that's my channel. That would be really great. And obviously, if you'd like to, click subscribe because that helps my channel. Already looking forward to seeing you next Friday. Have a lovely weekend.